Hi everyone, welcome to cookingwithchampagne.com. It's Monday, so we made it through another weekend, and today it's time for another full meal. So today I'm going to show you a really easy, delicious, and simple recipe that my mother-in-law, who's no longer with us, taught me many years ago. And of course I put my own twists and turns on it, but today we're going to be making chicken and shrimp chow mein over a ginger orange brown rice. It's really good and healthy for you. So I just started and I am zesting my orange. I need a teaspoon of orange zest, and that's about a teaspoon that we're going to put into our brown rice a little bit later on. Right now I have all my pots heating up and waiting for me on low. So let's start our rice first. In here we will add a little bit of olive oil. Drizzle your pan with olive oil. And we'll add 1 pat of butter to that. So the mixture of the butter and the olive oil. And then we're going to add, here I have my ginger, freshly grated ginger and garlic. And it's a teaspoon of each that we're going to put down into the olive oil and butter. And we're just going to let that warm up and sweat in there. And then we'll add our rice and then coat our rice with that. So get that down into the olive oil and butter. Cover it up, you can. Just keep it on low. I have it on very, very low, so I'm going to just inch it up a little bit. Okay, so we'll wait to smell that. In this pan right here, I have 2 cups of low sodium fat-free chicken stock. Now this is, and in this I have some sprigs of thyme and 1 bay leaf. This is our bath. This is how we poach our chicken. When you poach chicken, any kind of meat or fish, bring it up to a simmer, let the liquid get nice and warm, and then lower it to nothing. It's just steam. Because if you put your meat or your fish in something that's boiling, it will make your meat tough. So to that, right here I have a pound of chicken that we just sliced in strips, and we're just going to put that right into our bath, and this will poach in that beautiful warm liquid. And then later on we're going to use the same liquid in our rice and in our chow mein. See, it's already turning just because the stock here is warm. You see, this will take 2 minutes, 3 minutes just to cook that through. So we'll put our cover back on. Over here, I have a ½ pound of medium-sized shrimp. My oven is on 350 degrees, and to this, I am going to put it on a pan because I want to put it in the oven, and I want to just let it cook in the high heat and take it out. It'll take maybe 2 minutes tops. There's not that much here. This will feed about 3 to 4 people, this whole recipe. So to this, I'm going to drizzle it with some olive oil. To this, we're going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. I smell and I hear my garlic and ginger just sweating away. The smell is delicious. Spread these out in your pan, 350 degree oven, and we'll check on them after a minute. You just want them to get nice and pink. Is our garlic and our ginger. It smells delicious. To this, we're going to add our rice. I have 1 1/4 cups of brown rice that we just want to toast up in this pan. Get it coated with the olive oil and the garlic and the ginger. Just let it toast a few minutes. Turn it up a little bit now. To this, we're going to add some of the chicken stock, and I also am going to add the juice of this orange that we put. The zest is going in there as well. So we're going to put the orange in it to tie it all together. Now this recipe, like I said before, my mother-in-law taught me many, many years ago. And you can do this with just shrimp, just chicken. It's easy. You could do it with slices of beef. Here's our chicken. And this is almost done. See how easy that was? Very low and slow. It's just bathing away in here. So now, here I have a large onion that I chopped and about 10 to 12 celery stalks that I cleaned with a damp cloth, wiped them down, and I cut them. I even use the middle of the celery. The leaves have lots of flavor. I just want to show you how I cut them. The onions, you just dice up medium-sized slices. And with the celery, I like to do it on the bias. And you make them the same size. And you just cut it down. And there you go. That's how you cut your celery. So that's what we have here, our celery and our onions. Together we're going to sweat these out in some olive oil. And we're also going to put a little pat of butter in there as well. So this pan is nice and hot, and it's waiting for me as well. Our olive oil. Now the few twists and turns that I added to this is, my mother-in-law used to use water. I'm using the chicken stock, and I'm going to use wine as well. So let's put a pat of butter in there. So this pan is a little bit too hot right now, so we're just going to lower it. It's been warming up, and these go in. Now we just want to sweat these. We really don't want color on them. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to help them sweat. Brings out the moisture. And we can add a little dab of pepper. And do the same thing with your onions and your celery like you did with the rice. Just get it all coated up in there in the olive oil. We just want that to sweat a little bit. And we'll cover that again. Our rice is ready. It looks toasted. See how the brown is turning to a nice caramel color? Good. Here's our orange. Squeeze it right side up. The other half. Smells good with the ginger and the garlic. Perfect. And of course you always want to add your salt in with your rice now so it gets incorporated in it. So a nice pinch and just work it around. Usually with chow mein you get white rice, but you know the brown rice is better for you. Smells good. Let's add our chicken stock. Now, all you're going to do is, not splash yourself, but add the stock so it covers the rice. And if we need more later as it's cooking, then we'll add it. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit to medium, cover it up, and let that cook. So it's about a minute, 2 minutes, and let's check our shrimp. They look good to me. You just want to get them that beautiful pink color. Just like that. You could do this in the bath as well, but I like putting them in the oven with a little salt and pepper because it gives it more flavor. Now let's check our chicken, which is done. And we're going to take this chicken and just put it out in our bowl because we don't want it to overcook, because remember we're going to take this and cut it up and put it into our chow mein, and it's going to cook a little bit more in with the celery and the onions. Wow, this smells good. You can really smell the thyme and the bay leaf, which you're going to leave those behind. So here's our last piece of chicken. Our rice is just bubbling away. And this will take about maybe 20 minutes to cook. We want the rice to absorb the chicken stock and the ginger and the olive oil. So I'm going to lower this now and just let that continue to cook. Now that we have our chicken out, our celery and onions, they smell good too. See, they're just sweating. That's it. That's how you want it. You don't want color on this, because if you ever remember eating chicken chow mein in the Chinese restaurant, you know it doesn't have any color on the celery and the onion. So what we do right here, I'm going to turn it up, the heat, and here's some white wine, whatever one you have, Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay, whatever. If you want to omit this part, fine. And I'm just going to put in about a half a cup of wine. Let's finish it off. There you go. And we're going to let that cook just a little bit. So let's cover that back up halfway. We want to leave it open a little, just so the alcohol can evaporate. So our celery and onions and the wine. Boy, I wish you could smell that right there. Ooh, that smells good. Now, our wine is just about evaporated. So here is the stock that we used to make the chicken bathe in. Now, if you look in there, you could see the stock has the little pieces of the chicken. We want to strain that. So right here, I have a strainer with a piece of cheesecloth, and all I'm doing is straining this liquid right into the celery and the onions. And all that residue will be left behind. But it will have the chicken flavor and the thyme flavor and the bay leaf flavor. So we just strain that. Make sure you hold on to it now. And there you go. That's your liquid that you're going to use to cook the celery and the onions. Now we're going to put this on high, and we're just going to leave it uncovered so some of this juice evaporates, and let it cook until our celery and our onions are tender. You can make it al dente, you can make it well done, however you like it. So leave it uncovered. Here is our rice, and that's just cooking. It takes, like I said, 20 minutes until all of the liquid is evaporated. It's almost there. And then we'll add our orange zest and we'll taste it. Does it need salt and pepper? Then we'll add it. So our celery and onions are almost done. I could see that the liquid evaporated, and our rice is definitely done. Let me pull this over here so I can taste it, see if it needs any salt or pepper. No, it's actually really good. And you could taste that orange and the ginger, delicious. Here's our orange zest, 1 teaspoon. Throw it in there. And just, let me just get a new one. And you just mix that around. Now, anytime you're fluffing rice or using rice, always use a fork. Just because if you use a spoon, it kind of mats it together. So with a fork, just put in the zest. Perfect, all done. Took 15-20 minutes. This is done. Now what we're going to do is add a tablespoon of cornstarch. That's what makes the sauce thick. And usually you use a tablespoon, equal amounts of a cold water. But because we used orange juice, I'm using 1 tablespoon of orange juice in here. And we're just going to mix that around. And it comes to like a saucy, kind of white, kind of almost looks like milk. Now when you add this, you add a little at a time. Your pot has to be boiling in order for this to affect the thickness. So we're going to add it in. I'm going to add half. And we're just going to stir that around and see how thick it gets. You don't want it that thick. You just want the body of the sauce to be a little thicker than just the liquid of the chicken stock. Let me turn this up just a little bit. I think we could add the rest. And that'll be good. and then we'll taste this and see if it needs seasoning. But we want to give it a minute on high just so the cornstarch can work in and thicken up the sauce. This is perfect. Look at how nice and thick. We let it cook for a few minutes, about a minute or two on high, and it came out perfectly. So I want to shut this off and take it off the heat. Now, here's our shrimp that we roasted in the oven and the chicken that we poached. The chicken we did not season before we poached it. So what I'm going to do is take the chicken and we're going to just cut it into nice sized pieces. And we're going to season that just a little bit before we put it back. Now this is already cooked and so are the shrimp. So that's why I shut off my heat, because the hot pot, whatever's in the pot, is just going to warm this through. Here's a little pinch of salt that I'm just putting on the top. A little pinch of pepper. You could even use white pepper if you didn't want to see the flecks of pepper. Let's just toss that around just to give it a little seasoning. If it needs more after we put it in here and taste it, then we'll add it. So that goes in. Here's our shrimp with the juice left over in the pan. Goes right in there. And we're just going to toss it around and let that warm through. Warm through. Give it about, look how beautiful that looks. Wow. And let's taste it. Now this is my mother-in-law, Millie. You know, you hear so many people who say they don't get along with their mother-in-laws. My mother-in-law was such a wonderful woman. She was like my mother. I know her since I'm 15 years old. And she reminds me so much of my grandmother in the way that she can take the simplest ingredients and turn it into a feast for an army. She had such a great sense of flavors and what went with what, and using her imagination. I always say that to you, use your imagination when you cook. Don't be afraid. That was my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law was also an accomplished trumpet player. She went to Juilliard when she was young. Truly miss my mother-in-law. She was a great, great lady. A lady with a big heart. She was so humble, and she really had compassion for a lot of people. So that's my mother-in-law, Millie, and today this dish is dedicated to her. Just one of many dishes that she made for all of us, her whole family. Just added a little twist to it with my wine and my chicken stock. But basically, Millie, this one's for you. So now that everything's done, let's taste it and see if it needs any seasoning. I'm going to taste a piece of chicken with it. I think it tastes good. I mean, your own palate, you'll know if you feel it needs more salt, then add it, a little more pepper, but I think it tastes good for me. So let's plate this up for you. Here's our rice. First, look at our pretty red dish. When I was thinking Chinese food, of course, Home Goods, my favorite place. And that's where I got that red dish. So this is a cute little tip for you. If you put your rice inside of the bowl and then you just tip it over, it gives you a nice little mound there. Don't be afraid to get in there and make it perfect. Okay? And to this, let's ladle this around. That's white chunks, white meat chicken, and then we had our shrimp in there as well that we roasted in the oven with a little salt and pepper and olive oil, just because it gives it a little more flavor than just poaching it. And this is a great meal, healthy meal for you. Wasn't it easy? And it was quick, a half hour, we're done. And if you know you're going to make this, say the night before, and you have some extra time in the evening, chop up your celery and onions, put it in a Tupperware, you know, do a little prep for yourself. You can even make the rice a day in advance. Who's gonna tell? So look how beautiful this is. Right on here, I want to put my shrimp. You can just arrange it. Remember, presentation is a very important part of food. Let's put another shrimp there. I want to taste the shrimp. Mmm. The shrimp are perfect. They're not rubbery because we only cooked them for like a minute and a half until they turned pink, and we pulled them right out. And they warmed through inside of the hot chow mein, so perfect. And you know you can't have chow mein without chow mein noodles. You could buy these in any grocery store. So we just want to top that off in the middle. Perfect. Wow, that looks really nice. And this is a very easy, healthy meal for you. How does that look? Beautiful. Wouldn't you like to sit down to this? Well, don't come to my house and sit down to it. Make it at your own house. Your family will love this. And it's very figure friendly. So, this is our ode to Millie. Thank you, Mom Millie, for teaching me how to make this. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know. You can download the recipes at cookingwithchampagne.com. I would love to hear from you. You can email me from there. Check out the whole website. See how you like it. And you know what I say, Fridays is all about dessert and cocktails. So this coming Friday, I have something really, really good coming up for you. And I'm going to give you a little hint. It has to do with a color, okay? Come back Friday, you'll find out what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, have a wonderful week. Happy Monday. Thank you so much. Love you for stopping by my home. And here is a champagne toast to good eating.